Did you know that every success is rooted in an unseen spiritual cause? Learn how a barber reshaped his fate, conquering doubt and bringing his dreams to life. Join us on a journey where faith triumphs over the impossible, and dreams materialize sooner than anticipated. Every natural occurrence stems from a spiritual and metaphysical origin. A natural cause is merely superficial, an illusion of fleeting memory that fades away. We fail to recall those moments in time when we envision certain states, so when that imagined state becomes reality for our external eyes to witness, we fail to recognize our own harvest and deny any involvement with those natural effects manifesting in our world. Because our memory is flawed, we forget. There exists a moment each day, Blake asserted, that Satan nor his watchful demons can locate, but the leaders find this moment and it proliferates, and once found, it rejuvenates every moment of the day if properly aligned. By Satan, he simply meant doubt. Doubt cannot find it. I yearn for a certain state in this world, reason tells me it's difficult, my friends say it's impossible, and then, if I doubt I can achieve it, that's Satan's voice speaking to me. He's always challenging God. God is my own wonderful human imagination, that's God. So, the protagonists are God and Satan, essentially faith and doubt. I can imagine being the person I wish to be and remain faithful to that assumption as if it were true. If I can, and remember that assumption, and when I made it, then I will see when it unfolds in my world. The link between the natural effect and its spiritual cause, the spiritual cause was that moment of assumption. Now, let me share with you what was granted to me last week in the form of a letter. He's here tonight. His barber was the lowest man on the totem pole when he first met him. There were 4 at the barber shop. Well, he was the 4th man. If you're familiar with barbershops, and perhaps the ladies aren't, that's why the bosses always have the first chair. So if it's a slow day, he takes the man the moment he's done, he gets the second, he doesn't share if 3 come in, then they go to different chairs. Well, for chairs, the 4th waits for his client. Well, this friend of mine happened to sit in his chair one day and liked how he cut hair and inferred from what he said that he took pride in his barber profession, proud of it, not making excuses like so many barbers do. He was proud to be a barber and wanted to be the best barber and win competitions, so hearing this man express that desire, my friend imagined he was the best. Well, in no time, he bought out the head barber and then fired him and reorganized his team, and from there he began his ascent to the top. Well, 3 weeks ago, while sitting in his chair that now belongs to him, the head barber is his barber because he was the lowest man, but now he's the top man, he said, and in a very excited manner, that there would be a contest happening in San Francisco and he wanted to participate in this hairstyling and cutting competition. Well, my friend said, I discovered he deeply desired, and no one enters a competition unless they want to win. I saw on the wall the trophy that would be his and heard him recount how he won. Well, there were 4 men in the barbershop, one was engaged for that weekend, so, last weekend, he took 2 with him, so there were 3 from that barbershop of 4 men. Only 9 trophies were given out in the state at this competition, and that small barbershop won 4. The head barber won the first prize and a second prize, and the 2 men who accompanied him won a second, so they returned from San Francisco with 4 out of 9 trophies that were available. Now he told me, you've always said from the stage, I'm going to tell you before it happens, because when it happens, you will believe. Well, now I'm going to tell you before it happens, there's going to be a competition in Southern California, and I saw his trophy as the first on that wall, so I'm telling you before it happens, so when it does, you'll know I'm putting this into practice. I know he lives by this. Then there will be another competition, he said, in Miami, and it's necessary to win in Miami to be eligible for the one that will take place in Brussels, which will be international. I'm placing him there in Brussels as the first among all competitors. Well, I know he's going to win, for every natural effect has a spiritual and not natural cause. A natural cause only seems to be, it's an illusion of man's perishable vegetative memory, he doesn't remember. Well, now he's going to remember what he did, and I have his record at home, in his letter. Now he told me in this letter, I had a dream, repeated the dream, and then had a third dream, all in the same night. So, the first and the second were simply the same dream reiterated. I'm not bringing the details of the dream, he said, but it was all and strangely detailed about my birthday, but I can't remember all the things that happened. I only know, here was a man in a white robe with a book in his hand, open in the middle, it was gold-edged, and he had a pen in his hand, or it might have been a scythe. He looked almost like a cartoonist's concept of Father Time, and he insisted my birthday was a certain day, and I was equally adamant in asserting it was not, because I knew my birthday was September 19th, 1927, and he insisted despite my protests, pointing out all the things in the book. Then, I woke up despite his insistence and my protest, for I knew my birthday, at least that was my physical birthday. I'm going to draw your attention to Psalm 87, and the Lord records as he registers the peoples, and he said this one was born there. It's all about birth. There are only 7 verses in it, it's a small and concise psalm, but this is the birth, not of a physical birth. This is the spiritual birth, and this one was born there. I can tell him he did the perfect work, as I knew he would. Challenging the angel of the Lord, what did the recording, for sinning by silence when we should protest, makes cowards of us all, and no coward can be used in his stable of stallions. I can tell by the way he drafted his letter that you were born, but the perishable vegetative memory didn't bring it back, you were born from above. You had other experiences that would imply an omen. But from this letter, I'd say you were, but the memory didn't bring back. I'm convinced of that by your letter, for it's all in the past, not present, and certainly not future, the way you drafted the letter, for you know your birth date, which is physical, and you said September 19th, 1927, and he denied that was the day of your birth. Denying that was the day of your birth implies you were born in the spiritual world, because he doesn't represent the physical world, but the spiritual world. Therefore, I would assert that you have been born from above. Seize these moments, every moment in time is a special occasion, a precious moment, a time when you can truly utilize it to sow what you wish to be planted in this world. And by recalling that moment, well, it must manifest, for every natural effect has a spiritual and not a natural cause. Indeed, that spiritual cause is that instant when you dare to assume that you are the man or woman you wish to be, or that another individual, in his case, the barber who is the best as he longed to be. Thus, you can do, not only for yourself, do for another or do for many as he did, and these are those precious moments in this our wonderful world. But our memory fades and we do not remember, so when the whole affair unfolds in our world, we do not relate it to our own harvest, we cannot recall when we did that, but nothing can happen in my world by chance, it couldn't. All things come because I planted them intentionally or not. Or I did it knowing I am doing or did without knowing because I was immersed in some emotional state and felt intensely about a state, it may have been a lovely or unpleasant state, but the seed was planted and I embraced it, and the whole affair will come into my world, whether I want to recognize my harvest or not. So, if I know that is the law of life, it is up to me now to select and plant only what I want to harvest in my world. Thus, everyone in this world is here with a purpose, and the purpose is to fulfill the scriptures, there is no other purpose. And the fulfillment of the scriptures takes me out of this world, where I must remain until I awaken. Well, I cannot awaken until I fulfill the scriptures, for the scriptures are a plan. Now, another lady wrote this, she said, I found myself in this glorious mansion on high, and they had the most beautiful gardens and perfectly kept, and a man and a woman came out in a white chariot, and someone told me, give me 2 names, and they are names of 2 of my relatives. But I knew it was you who had gone and also knew you would return. Now, I have no memory of what happened between knowing it was you who went and that you would return, but I woke up saying, now I know I experienced what you must have told me I would. Then, my throat was dry as if it were on fire, and I went to get a good gulp of cold water, went back to bed, and had this dream. I'm in a department store, and there I am with all these Bibles for brides, Bibles distributed for weddings, and in a strange way, all the brides were dressed in their white dresses, and the department store provided grooms. Everyone was getting married by proxy, and the department store provided all the grooms that could take a wedding photo with the bride provided by the department store. Then, I told her, I'm getting married next month. Well, this vision you had, dear, is a beautiful vision, because as you are told in the scriptures, in the book of Isaiah, your Creator is your husband, and the Lord of hosts is his name. What you saw is the perfect symbol of what the depth of our own being revealed, that you will have union with the Lord, and union with the Lord means that what is in you as a new being will be fertilized, and then he will burst within you, and everything said about Jesus Christ will unfold. So, I can say you had the perfect vision. Then, another lady wrote, so I took my son to the backyard, and here was the fish pond that I had, still not stocked with fish, but with crystal clear water and about 30 centimeters deep, and inside was a fluffy white puppy, lying in the water with his black snout well above the water. I took the dog out, dried him off, and brought him inside the house, and he jumped and played all over, and then I lost him, searching for him. I went back to the backyard, and there was the dog in the pool again, but this time, as I passed, he wagged his tail as if to say, "Leave me here, I like it here," and he was quite content to be submerged in the water, nose up, but the tail moved as if he was happy to be in that water. Well, I can tell you, in the Bible we talk about stone, water, and wine. The stone is the literal story, the allegory, and man must discover the fictional nature and character of a story, and when he discovers the fictional character of the story in the scriptures, then he learns their meanings. He struck that rock, like Moses, and water flowed from it. Now, the first miracle or sign in the book of John is the transformation of water into wine, and then you are told, fill the stone jars with water, and when they drew from the stone jars, that water that was in the stone jar was wine, perfect wine, delicious wine. So, first we have a story, and man takes the story and accepts it literally, and so goes through life with a meaning, or the stone. When he discovers the fictional character of the story and then the true meaning is revealed to him, he has the psychological water. Now, the puppy is the symbol of faith. Your faith is now in the psychological meaning of these great truths. If you apply what you know, you will turn it into wine. If you take what you know now, that imagination creates reality, and dare to imagine that you are now what you wish to be, then you are transforming that water into wine, as the book of Genesis tells us. When Jacob brought the flock to the field, the well was covered with a stone, and he rolled the stone and watered his flock, and then put the stone back. He didn't turn it into wine, but he drew water, a stone covered, and hid the vision of the water. So, the story is told to man because it is a parable. The whole affair is a parable, the whole affair is an allegory, and if you take it as factual and not as what it really is, the most wonderful parable in the world, well, then you're never going to use your imagination to draw from that stone the water, therefore, you can't feed the flock. But if you can really get from any story in the scriptures its psychological meaning and tell it to the world, like when Isaac brings his son, and Isaac is blind and cannot see, and has two sons, one is called Esau and the other is called Jacob, and Jacob covers himself with goat skins to give himself the feeling of hairs, for the first was Esau, and Esau was all hairy, and so when Jacob deceived his father into believing he was Esau, Isaac gave him his blessing. So you take the story, and while I'm here now, reason tells me I'm not where I'd like to be, I'm not the man I truly wish to be, so I exclude what reason is suggesting, deny all that reason dictates, close my eyes to the facts of life, the obvious things, and mentally dress myself in all that I wish to be. Consider contributing to the channel by clicking worth it just below the video. Gratitude for having you with us. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content,